Hello drone, I'm okay, let's go. This video is dedicated to the Ceti free-for-all third multiplayer game. We play it using hot seat mod, PYDT web lobby and sender service. Created by Mike Rozek from Rozek Software Solutions. Few words about the map. It's a mystery ground with settings for multiplayer competition. They are similar starting locations on the center of an isle, and similar amount of resources on the starting location for each player. My partner on this game is famous person, and as he got some words for you about this game, I'll give him the first word. And his name is Gary Jimen! Rise and shine, Mr. Viewer. Rise and shine. This command belongs to the early game, turn 1 to 50. I don't remember too much from the early exploration and expansion phase. I probably fought too much with the aliens before I was ready, which set back my explorers, but I was careful in keeping my settlers escorted and I built an ultrasonic fence pretty early. For virtues, I got a couple in industry, and the rest went deep into might. I picked Brasilia. A fun strategy I thought of would be to take techs off other players, by getting lots of word score using Brasilia's ability. It sounded fun since in old Civ games you could trade for techs directly, but in BE, the only way you can get a whole technology off someone is war. For colonists, I chose mercenaries, plus 15 combat bonus in home territory, as a safety measure against aliens and any early game aggression. This was my first multiplayer game, so I wanted to play pretty conservatively, so I could at least make it to the late game, which I only kinda succeed in doing. Spaceship and cargo were live from scanners, sea nests, and building supplies, free clinic. More conservative options that help me stay safe early game. The free clinic gives science to get the pioneering faster and extra health to bring the outpost online faster. That sounded good because I wasn't planning to touch the Prosperity tree for any free colonists. I had acquired a few tundra and snow tiles, so I opted for terraforming pretty early. By turn 50, I had somewhere around 20 population in all my cities. A bit lower than I had wanted, but I was keeping pace with Protog, so I wasn't too worried at this point. My goals for the early game were: number 1, have fun, number 2, keep it stress-free, and number 3, don't get crippled early to aliens or something. Loading 10's turn. I will tell you about my first steps and impressions of the location, so I see on the 10th turn, here I explored the ruins. I've scouted a couple of expeditions here. I'm going to walk along the edge here, explore this part of the map. The fact that I'm betting quite a lot on exploration this game. I'll fly over, see how things are there, what kind of location is here, and in general collect information about who is sitting where. Let's say where this 90 points player is located. Let's say if he's far away from me, then this would be some actions. If he's somewhere here or here, if he's here for example, then it would be in other actions for me. That's actually what I plan to find out. The base is standard, we receive the solar collector from resource pod. Here Standard 2, the Pioneer, it's studied for colonists, and engineering to get somewhere in this area titanium and start mining it. And on the 10 turns, everything is just beginning. We have aliens close enough to the base on 3rd ring. It requires attention so as not accidentally to attack at them. Loading 20th turn. To the 20th, I settle an outpost between 3 land plots so that they can be controlled and to control the water zone. I also got a boat. I quickly gone to explore. Here explore has already checked Chungso is here. which means that the most powerful player is either here or here. If player 2 here, my opponent G-Man is here, then this will be a direct confrontation between us. Then third computer will be here. Then 3 computers will be here. Or if G-Man is here, then there is a third player here. On the game loading page you can see which factions are playing, so it already becomes clear to me that this an anthropospheric reclamation corporation, and quite powerful. She has an impressive attitude towards spies, and although I have nerfed its bonus, she still remains a fairly serious opponent, especially when the opponent is your nearest neighbor. This requires you take some actions, mostly defensive aggressive, let's call it. That's it. You can spread much. You can spread much along the technology tree. You do need actively force the acquisition of dominant affinity. At the same time, you can't choose saying 2 affinities. Although you can, of course, go into hybrid, but here in the AC, hybrid upgrades of units are pushed a little further up to the levels, and on the turnover that unique affinity units are available almost immediately. Therefore, the receiving of hybrid upgrades has been postponed and the receiving of unique units has been accelerated. This is still being tested and may be adjusted later. In general, the reconnaissance continues and this trade convoy shall went to support our outpost. By turn 30, it already becomes clear that we have an arc here. It can be noted that alternative faction colors have been used some way automatically for this game. Here the explorer has scouted the arc. It becomes clear that I need to force main affinity in order to be able to resist the arc. She's already at the 2nd level of affinity, and in order to slow down its progress I decide to declare war. Because the enemy switches part of the production to preparing for an attack, and this pulls his attention and his resources away from the actual development. Of course, I was not going to fight yet, but if we look at the construction queue, we see that I have submarines and a boat there. In technology, of course, I'm going to build and spy agencies because I need a counterweight to arc spies. And in general, espionage is quite an important direction. I'm still scouting here. Meanwhile, I explore the penultimate island. Minor moral was found here. I'm starting to actively excavating expeditions. There is also an explorer with a model for this, and it goes to open home expeditions. Turn 40. The war with Ark continues. There have been no special offensive actions so far by the 14th move. My playmate is Mr. G-Man, who made a cunning wise move. He staked out, so to speak, an island directly in my direction. Instead of occupying a free territory, there are 1, 2, 3 islands. Somewhere here my explorer is still wandering. I've set up a base. It would long before I bought 3rd base. Here my idea was to pump the Syra base well enough and start moving it to the west and then to the north. But as it turned out, the stations landed here and the advance became blocked. It is impossible to get 2 squares closer to the station, and I reoriented the purpose of the base to sail south to use this Titan from the edge of the map. I understand that there is another base to the west of the central capital, judging by this captured territory, plus the vanguard outpost, which will become kind of historical stone. I continue to drain attention and interfere exploration of the Ark with my boat. Turn 50. Hutama declares war on Qingsu. There is a small skirmish between them, but it is clear that this will not end in anything, since the base is still too strong to capture troops at this level of power. These islands are specially modeled so that they can't be taken by surprise. I press Ctrl plus function 2 and look at the ecological status. And the global relationship with the aliens is at its limit. The stage of awakening is gradually growing, but so far it's normal. My level of dominant affinity is 3. Global affinity progress is 15 and 5%. The global progress of affinity affects tension, and the level of tension affects the varieties of aliens being born. By the way, you can read all this here in separate tab in the ecological section of data links. Go further. The spy agency operational. Spies have visited 3 capitals and we continue to accumulate power to compete with the Ark. Vanguard has 2 more blocks before turning into base. I was probing the outpost defenses with my boat. I continue to raise affinity, and at the 3rd level we have the opportunity to tame the aliens. This is an alternative way to clear your area of base of their presence. An alternative to distraction. I can show you here. We take the explorer and tame or leash the alien. It becomes your unit, and you can further manipulate him. Send him to explore, attack, or simply disband. It's great if you can take an alien drone, then you simply reveal the whole map completely. There are a couple of explorers with models here. We are opening expeditions. We're starting to collect fungus minor marvels and continue to assemble the fleet, boats and submarines. This is G-Man's comment on mid-game turn 51 to 100. By the mid-game I had 3 good cities and a couple newly founded ones. My next target was going to be the Ark. They were in the corner to my northwest, which was very close, so it'd be convenient to attack and defend. Before I even settled an invasion plan, Proto came and took all her cities except her capital, which caught me flat-footed. I saw that Proto declared war on Susan quite a few turns ago, but I figured it was just to snipe an explorer or colonist or something. At the same time I had a Kraken sink one of my outposts. While I had been antagonizing the aliens pretty bad, I hadn't had much trouble keeping them at bay until now. I made a blunder earlier and plundered an alien nest that appeared near my capital. It had spawned near the edge of the map and would have blocked a lot of my ship movements if I didn't get rid of it. Anyway, I blamed that for giving me red aliens and for that Kraken sinking my outpost. It felt pretty bad seeing it all go wrong so fast. I recovered pretty quickly though and made even more outposts to replace it. At this point I had spies in Proto's cities and could tell he speeding past me technology-wise. I figured I had 2 options. I could settle the islands to my east, build up my core cities and try to overtake Protok. My second option was to take the northwest island from both Protok and the Ark to even the playing field. I didn't think I'd be able to outbuild Protok, and if the attack was successful it would weaken Protok and strengthen myself at the same time. I decided to go with the second plan. I already wanted to take the Ark's island anyway. The hardest city to take would be Central. I figured I'd need at least 5 artillery to take it down. My original plan was to take Central, and once I had control of the land, I'd have an advantage over Protok since I could attack from land and sea. I had all my core cities built artillery and naval units for 10-15 turns before to attack. During that time I focused on getting to Supremacy level 9 and getting more combat bonuses from the Might tree. Somehow it all worked out perfectly, and I got Supremacy level 9, the 3rd tier combat boost from Might, and another synergy bonus from Might just in time to launch my attack. I began escorting my army to the Ark's island and I tried to keep it secret. I was poking around for submarines or passing by ships. I wanted to buy as much time as I could before Protect could send reinforcements. At this point the plan was still to attack the Ark first, so I declared war and began landing on the beaches.